The Jurassic Safari Park was finally done. Over the past few weeks, some final additions were added to some existing pens. The route itself was done, but additions will be made at the T-Rex zone, Diplodocus Lane, and the pen of the Baryonyx couple. A Suchomimus was added in the last mentioned location, and 3 young Ceratosaurus were added with the T-Rex to give some variety, but keep the shine on the T-Rexes themselves. As the route was now complete and housed many different types of dinosaurs, it was time for the park to release an initial tour video to the audience. This tour would be given by one of the ranger teams who were very eager to showcase the park in its fullest. At the beginning of the tour, there's quite a bit of build-up. For the first moments, no dinosaurs will be visible as one gets used to the route and the terrain and the road itself. All along the edges of the road are built-in lamps that will illuminate the path during night safari hours. Then, once the visitors will pass the first curve, they will end in the mixed herbivore zone, giving a good view of the Edmontosaurus, Parasaurs, and more. Though it is rare that some of the herbivores cross the water and come close to the road, today the rangers were in luck, as a bunch of Ornithitan had assembled further ahead. This gave an awesome experience to drive by so close. The next zone introduces the first of the sauropods that mostly stick to the watering and feeding spot that are away from the road. Due to their massive size, by keeping them at a certain distance, photos including their entirety within the frame are possible. The recent addition keep mostly to themselves and also near the watering spot, so it's rare to see them close as well, but the rangers were once again in luck. Though usually the Dilophosaurus were scattered about and gave way to introduce the audience to the first carnivores, today they were all bunched up at the end of the zone. Quite peculiar. The next area would be known as the runner zone, as dinosaurs like the Gallimimus and Strutiomimus made this their home. The zigzagging nature of the road itself complemented the playful nature of the runners that used the open terrain to their full use. From this spot, one could also catch a great glimpse of the carnivores at the zone besides this one. These were still of the old breed, meaning they were not artificially manipulated to be docile. This meant that they were dangerous to customers and had to be kept at a safe distance. In the next zone, we find a fence right next to the road itself, dividing into another parallel area that harbors raptors. These are also partially from the old breed, explaining why they need to be separated. Because they are not artificially manipulated, many stay in the shade that the thick forest in their zone offers, so it's rare for visitors to see them up close, but if they are hungry, they will venture near the fence line. But within the zone that the guests are in, small and jittery carnivores can be found as well, in the form of the Troodon, that were originally introduced as a main attraction to lure customers to come and join the night safari. Besides that, One can awe at some of the biggest dinosaurs the park has to offer, in the form of the Brachiosaurus and the Dreadnoughtus. Once we are in the next zone, the recently added Suchomimus is hard to spot. But lucky for the rangers, they get a good glimpse of the Baryonyx couple that was such a success by initial people who performed test runs. Sometimes they wanted some peace and quiet and stuck to the tree line, but today they were on the prowl. The Suchomimus in all its enthusiasm followed the car playfully, as it was not used to it yet, but that did bring up some safety hazards. Then the next area was a big attraction, finally showcasing the park's T-Rex couple, but also 3 Ceratosaurus. But adding the latter might have been a mistake, as the crowdedness might have stressed the T-Rex, as in a panicked frail, it jammed right into the car. Thus, a second team had to continue the tour. Through editing, those viewing the tour online would be notified that the first team was simply replaced due to the staff's time schedules, never knowing what actually happened. This second team, though, almost had another disaster upon them, as both T-Rexes came in pursuit down upon them. They filed urgently for the board to maybe rethink keeping the Ceratosaurus here. The next area luckily returned to peace and tranquility, as the Iguanodon Zone and Maiasaur Zone always had a relaxed vibe around. The herds were pretty large, always giving the customer a view of the dinosaurs somewhere in the vicinity. As we continue, we are greeted by a single Spinosaurus that was added not too long ago to this pen that was originally intended for 2 Carcharodontosaurus. Usually they were very playful, but today only one of them was and would not follow the car as they usually did. Maybe they had just eaten or felt sleepy. What was remarkable though was that the Spinosaurs instead came after the car, frightening the staff a bit for a similar scenario as happened with the T-Rexes. The next zone was probably one of the best balanced and varied zones out there. It had great variety and was very safe to the visitors. As one would drive past the straight part in the beginning, one could get a good glimpses of the Ankylosaurus, Deinonychus, and Diplodocus in the distance. Some smaller species of the Stegotype family had been added in preparation for what was about to come, and since the feeding spot was near the curve, it happened frequently that one of the giant long-necked dinosaurs would block the road, forcing the visitors to stop, but instead giving great photo opportunities in return. The next short area would introduce the visitors to the park's hybrids, But unfortunately, the ranger team could not get good shots of the Ankylodocus, as they kept very close to the ridge in the shade, and the Allosaurus, which was still the old breed, expressed some interest in the car, which set off its drivers again. They were initially promised that the Allosaurus would still not be a threat to visitors as long as it would be well fed, but they did not want to risk any unnecessary consequences. The area that was next was considered one of the bigger pens and housed different types, but as a theme, it was dubbed the Triceratops and Stegosaurus zone, as both were represented including their hybrid form. They were often found near the end of the road in this zone, as they preferred that side of the watering pool, and it was where the feeders were located. They often grazed near each other, giving beautiful opportunities of photographing multiple dinosaurs in one shot. The next zone was a small one that complemented the size of its inhabitants. They were all family of the small, quickly agitated dinosaurs that would so-called bump their heads together. The Pachycephalosaurus, the Dracoryx, and Stygimoloch could be found straddling around the place, and it would not be uncommon for them to cross the road or get near a vehicle. Visitors were urged not to honk their horn in this area, as ticking off these creatures could result in them trying to headbutt your vehicle. The next zone was pretty wide, but the road itself was narrow and fairly short. These were species of the trike type, in the form of Sinoceratops, Torosaurus, and Styracosaurus. Most of them were fairly tiny, and the rangers were in luck today that the herd was pretty spread out, giving good views wherever one would look. Then the next zone was almost at the end, and gave the visitors something really cool to look at. The Indoraptor zone presented multiple Indoraptors in a single environment, never before seen. Since the zone itself was quite small, chances were always high that one would see it near the road or a vehicle. Then the final area finished with a bang, as it presented the park's biggest carnivores with the Giganotosaurus couple. It also housed a Metriacanthosaurus with a beautiful color scheme. Unfortunately, during initial test attempts, the Giganotosaurus for some reason always stopped near the car when they noticed it. This time was no different. Through editing again, a third team had to finish the tour as one would head through the final gate and the end of the route. There were still many safety hazards that could have disastrous effects, and probably not all visitors would abide by the rules, seeing as people sometimes did not even do that with regular safari visits. But all in all, it was ready for the public. A few lawyers vowed for visitors to first sign a form to enter at their own risk, but others were pretty sure that most knew that visiting the park would not be without its dangers. There were still those who would pay good money to drive around and come this close and personal to the giants of old. But one should never forget about the mysterious Site 10, Location E, where some of these mysterious creatures came from. Hey everyone, and thank you guys all so much for watching another season in the popular Jurassic World cinematic series. I was very happy to see a lot of enthusiasm for this safari park idea, and initially I only had about 4 or 5 episodes planned, but eventually it became more than double of this as I got more and more ideas and eventually had the entire map filled. Originally I had 2 introductory episodes planned, and then a night safari one, and then would head towards an end soon after. But the ability to have pacified predators with an update that was released during this season made this possible, as now I did not have to worry about predators fighting others the whole time. Originally, I also did not want to have any conflict in this episode or in this season, but in the end went with a small conflict with the Spinal Raptor incident. I don't want every season to end with a giant bloodfest, and because that will be repetitive, and so I thought it was a nice change of pace to have a more peaceful nature-style documentary about the progression of the safari park. For the next season 4, we're going to do something different though. The mysterious Site 10, Location E, will get the main focus, and we will delve deeper into some cool experiments with the dinosaurs and their behavior. As always though, I will take a small break from the game to just fresh up my creativity, and so I would say that you can expect the first episode of season 4 somewhere in maybe the first week of May. What I will also probably do different this time is film multiple episodes ahead of time in order to avoid such big pauses between episodes themselves. I think that would make everyone a lot happier. All in all, thanks again so much for the support, and I will see you all next month when the new season hits off.